Welcome to Book to Blueprint, where powerful books become practical blueprints for real life. You do not need more information, you need execution. This is Book to Blueprint. Okay, let's be real, we all make a ton of decisions every single day, right? But how many of those are we actually making well? That's the big question. So today we're going to skip all the fluffy theory. We're diving straight into a practical, no nonsense blueprint for making better decisions. This is a system you can literally start using today to sharpen your thinking and honestly get better results in your life. All right, let's jump in. So here's how we're going to break it down. We've got 6 parts. We'll kick things off with the why. Like, what's the actual tangible outcome you can expect? Then we'll get into the big idea and the operating system that makes it all tick. And then, this is the best part. We're getting super practical with your implementation plan, the daily habits to make it stick, and finally, your very first step. So yeah, let's start with the end in mind. What are you actually going to achieve with this? All right, so what's the end game here? What's the core promise? It's pretty simple, actually. You're going to learn how to systematically upgrade the way you think. You'll start making consistently better decisions because you'll be building this deep foundation of what we call mental models. And look, that's just a fancy term for frameworks that help you understand how the world really works. It's all about learning to see reality with a lot more clarity. But let's get one thing straight right from the get-go. This is not some quick fix. It's not a magic pill for instant genius decisions. The real goal here is to improve the process of how you think. And that, my friend, is a lifelong journey. It's about constant learning, constant improvement, not a destination with a finish line. So where do we even begin? How do we start building that better process? Well, it all starts with the big idea at the very core of this whole blueprint. And it's this: making great decisions isn't about cramming more facts into your brain. No, it's about having a much better framework, a better system to organize all the information you already have. The term for this is worldly wisdom. And here's the best way to think about it. Imagine your brain is a library. Now, without a system, it's just a chaotic pile of books everywhere, right? You can't find anything. But with worldly wisdom, that library is perfectly organized. Every new piece of information you learn has a specific shelf it belongs on. This allows you to find things instantly and, more importantly, to connect ideas from different books. That is how you turn random facts into truly powerful, usable knowledge. You know, the legendary investor Charlie Munger just nails this idea. He talks about having a latticework of models in your head. Think about it like a trellis in a garden. That latticework is the structure. All your knowledge, all your experiences, those are the vines that grow and climb on it. Without that structure, all that knowledge is just a tangled, useless mess on the ground. It has nowhere to go. And what's amazing is it's not just Munger. You got Elon Musk using a totally different metaphor, the semantic tree, to talk about the exact same idea. I mean, you have 2 of the sharpest minds on the planet, and they both agree on this fundamental point. You absolutely have to understand the trunk and the big branches. Those are the core principles, long before you start getting lost in the tiny details of the leaves. It's such a powerful confirmation of this whole approach. Okay, so if worldly wisdom is the goal, what's the software that makes it run? Well, think of this next part as the new operating system for your brain. We're about to install 4 fundamental rules, the cornerstones that are going to guide your entire approach to thinking from now on. First step, harness compounding. It's not just for money. Getting just 1% better at thinking every day doesn't just add up, it multiplies over time. It's huge. Second, focus on principles, not tactics. Look, tactics and hacks change constantly. They're fleeting. But the fundamental principles of how the world works, those are timeless. Third, acquire that worldly wisdom we talked about. This just means you got to get out of your own little bubble. Learn the big ideas from different fields, psychology, math, biology, you name it. And finally, you take all of that and you build your toolkit. You fill it with these mental models that give you a much more accurate map of reality. All right, we've got our new operating system installed, but an OS is pretty useless without some apps, right? So now we get to the really good stuff, the how. This is your step-by-step implementation plan. I'm going to show you the 2 core tools you need to make this whole system actually work in your life. And your toolkit is deceptively simple. It's just 2 things, checklists and decision journals. But don't let that fool you. These are incredibly powerful. Their entire job is to do one critical thing, to get all that messy, biased, jumbled thinking out of your head and onto paper. Why? So you can actually look at it, see it clearly, and start to improve it. Charlie Munger has another great saying, no wise pilot fails to use his checklist. And just think about that for a second. The reason is dead simple. It stops you from making dumb, avoidable, and sometimes catastrophic mistakes. A checklist for your decisions, especially one focused on our own psychological biases, is literally a pre-flight check for your brain. It forces you to stop and ask the hard questions. Questions like, hey, wait a minute, am I only looking for stuff that confirms what I already think is true? That's classic confirmation bias, and a checklist is your number one defense against these kinds of mental blind spots. Okay, tool number 2 is the decision journal, and honestly, this is the secret weapon for getting better over time. It's a really simple 4-step process. First, you record. Before you make a big decision, you write down the situation, what you're thinking, all the key variables. This forces you to be clear. Second, you commit. You write down exactly what you expect to happen and how confident you are. This is huge because it stops you from tricking yourself later with hindsight bias. Third, you review. After some time has passed, you go back and compare what actually happened to what you predicted. And finally, number 4, you refined. You analyze what you got right, what you got wrong, and you improve your process for next time. I'm telling you, this one habit is probably the fastest way to get better at judging situations accurately. So you've got the OS and you've got the tools. But let's be honest, for any of this to actually work, it can't be a one and done thing. These actions have to become consistent, trackable habits. This isn't about a burst of effort, it's about building a new, smarter routine into your life. So what does this practice actually look like day to day? It's actually really simple and totally sustainable. Every day, you're going to invest in yourself by reading for about 30 to 60 minutes, pulling from different fields. Then, as needed, whenever an important decision pops up, you pull out your tools, the bias checklist and the decision journal. And once a week, you just block out 15 minutes. That's it. 15 minutes to review your past journal entries and learn from your past self. See, this isn't about piling on more work. It's about making the thinking you're already doing way more effective. This is the routine that builds and maintains that powerful decision-making engine. And there you have it. That's the complete blueprint. You have the big idea, you have the operating system, you have the tools, and you have the habits. The only thing missing is action. So the final question here isn't for me to answer, it's for you. What is the very first important decision you're going to apply this blueprint to? If you have a book in mind that should be added to our list, comment below. If this blueprint helped you, subscribe, like, and build with us. More blueprints are coming. Stay intentional, stay consistent. We are doing this one book at a time. And remember, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So share this with them and grow together. Real progress becomes stronger when it is shared. Build your life one blueprint at a time. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you do.